Let's begin character number 3 then. Remember, you can always stop and ask questions, provide suggestions, and be a part of the character creation process as we undergo it. First things first, do we have a female, a male, or a multi-class character? Let's find out. 57, so we have a male character. A male what? Well, a D10 will figure that out. 1. Whoop, let's go to the top here. A dwarf. We rolled 1 again, so it's odd. We have a mountain dwarf. His alignment will be 2D percentiles here. 69 and 30. That's going to put us in lawful neutral. By the way, dwarves are medium-sized creatures, so we'll fill that in while we're up here. What level will he be? Let's roll a percentile and find out. 79, that is right on the cusp of 16. Oh, high-level character. That means we're going to get 4 ASIs, or ability score improvements, stat bumps, where you can add 2 points to 1 ability score, or 1 point to 2 ability scores, or you can take a feat as an option if your DM allows. 4, 8, 12, 16. You're getting the pattern? She can take up to 4 feats. Let's roll a percentile and find out how many of those will be feats. At 75, it's just on the cusp of the stat bumps. So we're gonna add 8 points to our ability scores. Now his background is going to be a D13. Let's generate a 13-sided die here and roll him. 6. He is an artisan or a merchant. We'll entertain either one, and depending on his personality and the other story elements we produce for him, you know, we'll determine does he make things? Is he a cobbler? Is he you know, a cartwright, you know, a Fletcher, a butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker? Or does he sell finished products in some sort of a store or off of a wagon? You have a friend over? Okay, well, no problem, Dark Wolf. I'll keep an eye out for it. So, hello, friend. I guess she's a part of the Wu Nation then. Bubonic wants a fighter. Plunderloot wants a monk. Or heck, we can have a dwarf bard. Yeah, this is our first dwarf rolled in a while. Even better, a dwarf doodad. Bubonic actually wouldn't mind a dwarf bard. Oh my god. Bubonic, do you have a fever going too? Why do you want a bard all of a sudden? I don't trust this. Alright, now. There are 20 different things that you could do as a guild member of some kind. That's why I'm putting the parentheses here. We're gonna roll a d20 and find out which one he is. 13. Alright, so whatever 13 is, I don't know, and it doesn't matter at this point in time. It's a placeholder. While we're rolling this stuff, he's also going to get 2 different personality traits. So 8 and 4. Then he's going to get an ideal, a bond, and a flaw. Each of those have 6 options, so we're going to roll 3d6. And fill in 6, 4, 3. Now so hey, what is it? We'll get there. Hang on. We're gonna hit this big old golden button right here. This D12. as there are 12 classes in the PHB, and find out which one he is going to be. Dwarf Monk would be cool. Bard is the best class, says Raikon. I like the thought of a dwarf who does something different. And Bloody Torchic says dwarves are amusing. Here we go. 7. Ooh, we have a Paladin. Now, Paladins get 1d4 fighting styles and 1d3 oaths. That's their archetype, effectively. Let's roll each right now as placeholders. 1d4, he is going to be fighting with the dueling fighting style. And the oath he is taking, we're going to generate a 3-sided die and roll it. Number 2, Oath of the Ancients. So we come up here, Paladin, Ancients. There we go. Now there's a little bit more RNG we need to complete our character, and then we can put the spreadsheet away and focus on the building of the character. Dwarf. Oh, I think I get what you're talking. I know that there's a reference to GOT in there, and I don't want to be spoiler, but I also do know that it is very popular to just call dwarves as dwarfs. All right, so mountain dwarves are built a little bit bigger here than hill dwarves. They actually start at a whopping 4 feet tall, and we're going to add 2d4 inches to his height. So 4 feet 7 inches. We're going to take that same 7, and we are going to multiply it by 2d6 and add that amount of weight to his base weight. So 7 times 11 is 77. He is 207 pounds. He is a thick boy. Now, we're going to roll percentile and find out how old he is. 58. He is an adult. So this is column 3. We come over here to dwarf, which is the first one. So he's between 101 and 150. We're going to generate a 50-sided die and roll it. 39. So he is an adult at 139 years of age. One Crit Wonder, hello to you. No, you're fine, Death Count. Don't worry about it. If I don't catch something, you got to forgive me, because again, I have a kind of a cold going on, so I may not be putting things together as quickly up in the old noggin. You would host when my channel is currently streaming last night's session. I appreciate the consideration, One Crit. That means a lot to me. Bubonic says a level 16 Pally automatically hits for weapon damage, plus 1d8 radiant for every strike they do. One Crit, did you play your weekly session yet, or is that tomorrow? Or actually, no, don't answer that. Don't answer that. So, here's my sign. I just read, you're currently streaming last night's session, and I ask you, have you played yet? Because I was curious, because you have a weekly game, and I want to know how it's going. And apparently, it's good. I have a bit of a cold going on, and I've just been like, today. So please forgive me for having bleh. Yeah, One Crit. Here's my sign. I deserve that one. Chewy, yo to you as well. Stay a while and listen. See, at least with kind of that you know, like sick, like it's not a sore throat. Like I'm not like strep everywhere, but you get that kind of like croakiness because like there's just like drainage. You know, at least you can kind of pull off some different voices. So look, make the best of a bad opportunity and practice and have fun with that. Without TOA spoilers, we fought a bunch of undead and got some NPCs. We have feed and help out. Feed as in like you are feeding them because they're emaciated, or was that supposed to be that you freed NPCs from the undead? Oh, you have to fight undead. Oh, no. Oh, okay. And we have to help. We got some NPCs. We have to feed and help out. Okay. That makes a little bit more sense. Alright, we have finished the random number generation. This worksheet... That bubonic one so kindly. Oh my gosh, it's going to be one of these evenings. Cleansing breaths. That bubonic one very kindly made off of the original random character sheet that I was working off of in the beginning. Thank you for that bubonic one, and I've been happily using the work you have here from that point. Yep, kindly, Rykon, kindly. Whew, alright. Maybe I need... I don't know if cold medicine would be helping me or harming me at this point. They've been stranded and are hungry and exhausted, so now we get to spread the rations and medicine around. Ah. And you know what? From what I understand, one crit, that survival is a very big part of TOA, like overland or whatever, exposure to the elements. So sharing your resources like that is a peril in itself. You know, oftentimes as a DM, you're like, oh, I got to increase tension, let's have a fight. You don't always need a fight. You know, resource management is a fight. The environment is a fight in those terms. Resource management is huge. It's huge. I agree, one crit. Especially in that module. Now, in some of the games that I run, none of us want to do resource management, and it doesn't necessarily matter. Though, as a DM, it's an excellent technique to increase the difficulty of the game or to act as a basis for certain mechanics you want to use. If any of you played Fallout New Vegas, there's an optional kind of hard mode you can turn on where you have to account for food and water instead of just wandering around not having to eat. You know, even in fast travel. Bubonic weekly session for me is tomorrow. Excited as my family members are going to make it to the village of Beelbrook in level 2. Plus the first real adventure as they are going to make a foray into their first dungeon. Nice. I look forward to reading about that bubonic one. That's so awesome you're teaching your family how to play. One crit says, so more attacks per round is nice, but 5 mouths to feed is more people to worry about getting sick. Agreed, we don't really bother with rations and arrows in my main games because we're just having fun. Yeah. Survivalist mode, yep. That's what it's called. Thank you, Rykon, for that clarification. Bubonic one, they get kudos for the battle actions and the chase, and a big kudo for saving the family. Robert, old school players always had to resource management. Count your arrows. You know, maybe you had a DM that would let you get away with not having to count your stones for your sling, because presumably you could find little rocks or pine cones or something around. One crit, but both TOA and OOTA can be really ramped up with resource management. As we pop back over here, I like beginning at Chapter 4, the background. Here we go. Here's our guild artisan. Alright, we get skill proficiencies in Insight and Persuasion. We get tool proficiencies in some kind of artisan's tools. And there's a whole list of those. We can go into Chapter 5 and look at them later. We'll get a language of our choice. So by being a dwarf, we get Common, Dwarven, and who knows? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Equipment. We will get a set of artisan tools. A letter of introduction from your guild. A set of traveler's clothes. And a belt pouch containing 15 gapuz, or gold pieces. Okay, so the D20 was to determine what kind of guild business do you operate. We came up with number 13. Painters, limners, and sign makers. Rykon says, if I ran a campaign, it would definitely be on hard difficulty, just for the extra challenge, not to kill my players. Well, yeah, because it would be an extra challenge for you as well as a DM. It's not just something to, that is inflicted externally. If he was a Monty Hall DM, says Robert. Good old game shows. All right, so he is a painter, a limner, and or a sign maker here. Now, interestingly enough. Oh, hey, there we go. 1 crit. Thank you so much. We had a character that we generated in the first month of broadcasting. I don't know how many of you out there were around in January when I started this channel. That 1 crit, man, even 1 is the consideration. I mean, I say the effort, not like it's some Herculean task, but still, you went out of your way to offer a host, and I recognize and appreciate that 1 crit. That's the what's behind door number 1, you offer choices and you go from there. If I recall correctly, Robert. If any of you were around long enough, we actually made an interesting a sign maker dwarf. Now he was a sorcerer, actually, a chaos magic one. And I don't know how many of you out there were around in the first month, but do you remember this character at all that I'm referring to? Oh, max loot, like, oh, cash and prizes, kind of a DM? Okay. I got you, Robert. I thought it was sort of like you get the choices of doors and everything kind of continues narrowing down. Guild membership. As an established and respected member of a guild, you can rely on certain benefits that membership provides. Your fellow guild members will provide you with lodging and food if necessary, and pay for your funeral if needed. In some cities and towns, a guild hall offers a central place to meet others members of your profession, which can be a good place to meet potential patrons, allies, or hirelings. Guild membership can seem like, well, I'm a sign maker. What does that do? Well, 1 crit. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. How ominous. I was, I had to do a double take one crit because I thought that would have been included. That would have been the freebie, right? We learned something tonight, one crit. Thank you. This can be a very powerful feature, but it's something you... Speaking of DM tips and tricks, make sure you're aware of the features of your party members, so that you may not actively consider something like a guild hall, but, insert that into your world in some form or fashion. Even if there's not guilds or a guild hall, because that's not, maybe your world isn't up to that par yet, where you're effectively having unions and unionized labor or something along those lines. Could that then be something like market fame? Do people recognize you as the famed seller of something between all the cities? You can adapt backgrounds to your world and your time period. Though I would recommend offering the ability to have your players use them. Otherwise, it's some really powerful and good background supporting stuff that can make the game more interesting, and it takes care of a lot of background. It takes care of a lot of background processes. Robotic, pardon me. I came in first in the last week of your first month. The character to whom I'm referring is named Madman Mim. I think I might have one of his... I think I have the video of him being created, posted on YouTube. That might have been one of the first. I didn't always record portions of my broadcasts. Madman Mim might have been one of my first recordings, though. Derek, I think I have a low level cold going on, man. It's giving me a wonderful tone to my voice, but honestly, I don't like the side effects. Derek, it's at the point where one crit says, "Oh, hey, I'm rebroadcasting my Tomb of Annihilation game on my channel last night," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, by the way, how's your weekly session going? Don't you play tonight or something like that?" Like right after he said that, and I recognized it. Like I thanked him for that for the consideration in chat, and it's one of those moments where you're like, "Here's your sign." Death Count Auto, still stuck playing Twitch Plays Pokemon? Didn't know you came online. That's weird that it didn't automatically switch over, Death Count. Sign makers could do graffiti to let others know, such as danger. These people are thieves. Oh, the sign reference is, Darkwolf, thank you for the host. Bill Engvall is a comedian. He often tours with like Jeff Foxworthy, Larry the Cable Guy. The kind of like the blue collar comedian troupe that they have going, and that's one of his bits. Is, oh, you miss people using it. Okay, gotcha. Ivlon, hello. Yeah, so, Derek, I had to give myself a sign. Okay, so we have a sign maker. Personality traits, 8 and 4. Oh, pardon me. I'm sorry for yawning. Hopefully that's not infectious and spreading to you all. I'm well known for my work, and I want to make sure everyone appreciates it. I'm always taken aback when people haven't heard of me. Speaking of signs, our PC is handing out signs, isn't he? Well, he's selling them. Ivlon's thinking that the Lost Mine, or Mines, if you're optimistic, the Lost Mines of Phandelver went very well. Yeah, I caught part of it, Ivlon. Though if you came back after that hour-and-a-half break, I didn't catch what happened there. And its second personality trait is 4. I'm full of witty aphorisms and have a proverb for every, pardon me again, shame on me. I took a nap to avoid this. That's unfortunately why I started later tonight than I do normally. Past couple nights, man, if I wasn't staying up because I just kind of was in a funk about Miss Sophie, now I have like this cold settling in, and apparently like my body just needs to run like catharsis waves. It's like, okay, we're gonna cleanse you emotionally. You're gonna get sick, but it's cool because we're gonna like cleanse you physically. And his ideal is number 6. Aspiration. I work hard to be the best there is at my craft. His bond is number 4. I pursue wealth to secure someone's love. He wants to prove that he can be, a good working man, and bring home the bacon to a significant other, and go from there. His flaw is number 3. No one must ever learn that I once stole money from guild coffers. That is quite the scandalous secret. Now, if we wish, we could take the variant of a guild merchant. Instead of an artisan's guild, you might belong to a guild of traders, caravan masters, or shopkeepers. You don't craft items yourself, but earn a living by buying and selling the works of others, or the raw materials artisans need to practice their craft. Your guild might be a large merchant consortium or family with interests across the region. Perhaps you transported goods from one place to another by ship, wagon, or caravan, or bought them from traveling traders and sold them in your own little shop. Rather than proficiency with artisans' tools, you might be proficient with navigators' tools or an additional language. And instead of artisans' tools, you can start with a mule and a cart. I don't know, I kind of like that we have this paladin here, right? It's your job to, like, call out evil and indicate it and such. I like thinking of him as a painter. We have a painting paladin here. So we're going to give him tool proficiency in painter's tools. And we will give him a set of painter's tools. So he can paint his targets. That finishes out the background. Now let's go over to our races here. Robert's saying roll for it? What do you mean? While waiting for a response here, let's give our dwarf some stats here. Con goes up by 2. Age alignment we have, size we have, base walking is 25. giving us a 12 climb and a 12 swim, and of course a 0 fly. We do have 60 feet of dark vision. We have advantage on saving throws against poison, and you have resistance against poison damage. So up here, IRV for immunities, resistances, and vulnerabilities. We're going to fill in the middle dot for poison, because we're resistant. Advantages, this is versus poison. Oh, if he's an artisan or a merchant, Robert? Sure, I suppose we can. I guess we'll just go odds or evens, and we'll go from there. Let's just roll a D12 because they're underused. Oh, I didn't even set up what the parameters were. I'm sorry, Robert. So we're gonna cancel out that 8. Odds. He's a maker. Odds for artisan. Evens for breaking even because he's a merchant, and that's at least what you hope to do. Odds. Okay, so he is an artisan. So he actually does paint or make signs, that kind of a thing. Dwarven combat training, that's going to be irrelevant because we're a paladin and we're going to learn all weapons anyway. Tool proficiency. You gain proficiency with the artisan tools of your choice. Smith's tools, brewer supplies, or mason's tools. I think Plunder Loot was making a suggestion because he's a dwarf. No, what was it? Oh, okay, so a smith, like a bladesmith. Bubonic thinks he should have mason's tools instead. Oh, and now Fluffy Sheep asks, has anyone used Campaign Cartographer? Is there a good way to convert it from Roll20? Unfortunately, I can't provide you a lot of information in that regard because I've not used that software, Fluffy. But hopefully there's others here who can give you the heads up on it. Nice! A new YouTube subscription. Congrats, One Crit. Mason's tools because it goes with painting. You can make stone or wood signs. Sure. Painter's tools and mason's tools. We also get stone cunning. Let's see. So that allows us to pick up on qualities of masonry and such. As a mountain dwarf, we're pretty straightforward. Our strength score goes up by 2. And we have proficiency with light and medium armor. Well, we have proficiency with all armor as a paladin. Now, that said, if you're playing this character and you say, wow, I really have a lot of redundancy. You know, Mr. or Miss DM, because I have redundancy with both Dwarven combat training and for Dwarven armor training as a mountain dwarf, would you let me do something else? Could I start with a little bit more money? Could I start with another language? Could I have put my efforts towards something else? Maybe even get another tool proficiency. So maybe instead of all of those, then this is why he picks up proficiencies with artisan tools. And so your DM might say, yeah, so if you could normally get light and medium armor, but you get all armor anyway with a paladin, and your Dwarven combat training will include your axes and hammers anyway, I'll let you choose, you know, whatever, roll a D3 or a D4, and take that many more tool proficiencies. Because you spent your time studying how to use those tools while you were doing the training to be a paladin. Gonna wander off to do some Korean homework and start prepping for Star Wars session. One crit. Take care. Thank you for the host. And yeah, you kids behave now. We'll do our best here. One crit. Fluffy Sheep is saying there are only 2 ways to become a stonecutter. Now, is that the Simpsons reference to when Homer wanted to join the stonecutters? Okay, one crit. We'll yell at you on Discord. Okay, so that was the side note about being a dwarf. Now let's go and learn how to be a paladin. We're level 16. Dun, 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 dun. But you know what? If you're new to this and you're saying, "Oh, our DM's having us roll level 16 characters," it might be like a short kind of an epic adventure. Look, the majority of your time building a character is your level 1 character. That takes like an hour. Every level on top of that just takes a couple minutes. That said, the technique we use will just sort of bring us to level 16 without any hiccups. But don't let this scare you or intimidate you. All right, at level 16, we have a +5 bonus, a proficiency bonus. 4, 3, 3, 2 for our spell slots. There we go. We do not get cantrips normally as a paladin. We are a D10 hit die class. And because we're level 16, it just so happens we have 16 hit die. We have proficiency with all armor and shields, as well as simple and martial weapons. Yeah, Bubonic, we had him up on the stream last night and we went over him. He was a very interesting character, and I like the Urukai reference. We get no tool proficiencies. Well, gosh golly darn it. What a shame. Saving throws, wisdom, and charisma. Those are our proficiencies. And we get to choose 2 skills from athletics. Well, not insight. We already have that. Intimidation, medicine, and religion. Because being a guild artisan takes care of the others. So choose 2. Athletics, intimidation, medicine, and religion. Remember his personality. I'm well known for my work, and I want to make sure everyone appreciates it. I'm always taken aback when people haven't heard of me. Could that mean he intimidates people? Like, what do you mean? You'll remember me when I'm done with you. I'm full of witty aphorisms, and have a proverb for every occasion. So that could even be something like religion. You know, he tells a little parable in some cases, where he wants to get a point across. Aspiration, I work hard to be the best there is at my craft. He pursues wealth to secure someone's love. Maybe insight to tell, are the feelings reciprocated? No one must ever learn that I once stole money from guild coffers. Ooh, what a terrible secret. Bubonic is thinking intimidation and religion. And Rogue Infinity has returned. Welcome back. Fluffy Sheep says, I would be cautious about letting dwarves gain too much stuff in trade for redundancy. Dwarves get lots of proficiencies and stats, but depending on your class, you can generally only make use of one or the other. Ergo, if you take a fighter class, you waste the proficiencies, but if you take a squishy, you waste the stats. I think it's designed that way so dwarves can be cool but not OP. And that's a very good point, Fluffy, and that's why I encourage, look, if you think that you have a lot of redundancy in something, you could try talking to your DM, but ultimately your DM is going to be the one to tell you yes or no. And for the reasons that you provided over here, Fluffy Sheep. You know, as a DM, you can tell your friends, your friends or family members, no, you can't do that at the table. You know, it is what it is. Drake says, I have all 3 of my characters from D&D Beyond exported from there to my computer in PDF form. Oh, so you can tinker around with them and understand them better. Robert Lance, street sign philosopher, so he makes his own signs and to advertise them / preach the doomsday and hellfire and brimstone. He goes out on the corners and like, oh, repent. Isn't that wonderful? I can foil this too if you want. Repent. What are we talking about? Rogue Infinity, we are making character number 3 for our party this week. And Drake, you posted one of your D&D Beyond characters on the Discord. Okay, we'll check it out here in a bit. Well, if he's not a professional thief, he might not have. When sleight of hand is more like the physical act of thieving, but deception, sometimes you get lucky. It was a crime of passion or opportunity. He's not good at it. It just so happens that it happened. Okay, we'll get you opinions, Drake. Now, just because I'm not looking at it, if any of you are in the Discord and want to start giving Drake opinions on the rogue that he built, please do so. We're here to help each other. Alright, so a martial weapon and a shield, or 2 martial weapons. He has taken the fighting style of dueling, which means that he gets bonus damage if he's wielding a weapon in one hand. And, he can have a shield in the other. But, he needs to at least be one-handing weapons. So maybe if we go a martial weapon and a shield. So here, we'll give him a shield by filling in the little shield box up here. And we'll type in martial. We'll give him 5 javelins. Priest pack or an explorer's pack? Let's see. He probably travels a lot, especially if he likes hearing how far his name is recognized. Maybe also to escape from the original guild that he stole from so no one suspects him. Let's give him an explorer's pack. Chainmail. And a holy symbol. Bubonic is thinking a warhammer. Divine Sense, you can detect good and evil around you. Lay on Hands, you get a healing pool, or you get a point of healing or a pool of healing points you can use to effectively cure wounds or remove disease or poison from people, equal to 5 times your paladin level. Now, in this alternate sheet, it's nice because they provide you this other little area down here, and you can put on lay on hands right here. There we go. Then we get our fighting style, dueling. He duels with a hammer. Alright, now we also get spell casting, but I'm not concerned with that just yet. He'd most likely have plate by now, Robert. That's true. And really the only difference is going to be that his AC will be a little bit higher. It'll go up to a 20 from an 18. Chainmail provides you a 16, and shields. A shield is a shield in this edition. You don't have light wooden, heavy wooden, light metal, heavy metal. If you're wielding a shield, it gives you a static +2. But you did make a very good point. By level 16, I mean, he'd probably have some magic items. He would probably have upgraded to full plate armor. That's a good consideration. So he can squeeze out a little bit more AC. He's going to get... technically, it's going to be improved Divine Smite. Because here's Divine Smite at level 2. You can blow a spell slot and empower your strike. By level 11, which we meet, whenever you hit a creature with a melee weapon, the creature takes an extra 1d8 radiant damage. If you also use your Divine Smite with an attack, you add this damage to the extra damage. So really, if you want to make a note here, that if the Warhammer or the Javelin is used in melee, you're going to get an extra free 1d8 radiant damage on top of things. What kind of options would you want, Fluffy Sheep? Robert says it'd be a point of pride. Well, that could very well be. Now, being an Oath of the Ancients, well, we'll get to that in a second. Well, I don't want to get ahead of things. Divine Health. And so we are immune to disease, unless your DM says otherwise. We are going to earn our Sacred Oath, and that's going to be our archetype. We're also going to be getting an extra attack. An Aura of Protection. An Aura of Courage. Cleansing Touch. And there we go. What Paladin alone gives you ends at level 14. Your archetype will give you further supplemental features. There you go, Robert. Everyone remembers the knight in shining armor, but not everyone remembers the guy in chainmail. Especially very beautifully painted chainmail at that. Ideally +1 to +3 depending on the type of shield. Just like the different kinds of armor. Oh, yeah, there was something... In 4th edition, you could get a buckler, which added like a +1, but you could still hold something in your hand. Well, I don't think just magically, Dorgrim. I think we're talking about basic shields. That's true, Robert. Signmaker shields, You'd have like a big coat of arms, or it'd be an advertisement or a billboard. That's funny, actually. Alright, here's our Oath of the Ancients. The Oath of the Ancients is as old as the races of elves and the rituals of the druids. Sometimes called Fey Knights, Green Knights, or Horned Knights, paladins who swear this oath cast their lot with the side of the light in the cosmic struggle against darkness, because they love the beautiful and life-giving things of the world. Not necessarily because they believe in principles of honor, courage, and justice. They adorn their armor and clothing with images of growing things, leaves, antlers, or flowers, to reflect their commitment to preserving life and light in the world. These are the tenets of our faith, that if we break them, oh, we've been naughty paladins and things can happen. It's possible, Fluffy. Although, since you can't necessarily always walk around with your shield everywhere, he might still have a personal one that he wears as jewelry. You can paint shields at the same time doing real signs, yeah. Roll for what, Robert? Kindle the light. Through your acts of mercy, kindness, and forgiveness, kindle the light of hope in the world, beating back despair. Shelter the light. Where there is good, beauty, love, and laughter in the world, stand against the wickedness that would swallow it. Where life flourishes, stand against the forces that would render it barren. Preserve your own light. Delight in song and laughter, in beauty and art. If you allow the light to die in your own heart, you can't preserve it in the world. And be the light. Be a glorious beacon for all who live in despair. Let the light of your joy and courage shine forth in all your deeds. Those are the tenets of your oath. In addition to some oath spells, we're going to get Channel Divinity. 2 different abilities. Nature's Wrath. And Turn the Faithless. You can use your CD to invoke primeval forces to ensnare a foe. As an action, you can cause spectral vines to spring up and reach for a creature within 10 feet of you that you can see. The creature must succeed on a strength or dexterity roll, saving throw, its choice, or be restrained. While restrained by the vines, the creature repeats the saving throw at the end of its turns. On a success, it frees itself, and the vines vanish. This guy seems like he's a little too serious for Ancients. Robert, we did roll. He took the Oath of the Ancients as our random roll. Romonger, good evening to you. I'm sorry if I seem a little bleary or sleepy, but I think I'm fighting off something here, and so I'm a little fuzzy-brained, and my voice is sounding a little rough for it. But Romonger, it's good to see you. Welcome back. I hope things are going all right for you. Fluffy, this guy seems he's a little too serious for the Ancients. I don't know. He celebrates art. You know, he wants to go and you know, spread, like, you know, like the spreading branches of a tree, or, you know, like the seeds of grains to be spread across the fields. Derek says, quote, I myself am made entirely of flaws, stitched together with good intentions, end quote. Thank you, Rogue. I hope so too. It's the... I will, Romonger. I took a nap before the stream started. Yeah, you know, so he brings light to the dark places. Conceptually, Fluffy Sheep, I can see that being the case. Though, as we rolled which archetype, or in this case, which oath he took, we rolled for Ancients. And so that is a challenge for us in how do we conceptualize how our character fits all of the traits that we've generated randomly for him. You know, in this case, if we look down here, just, you know, he wants to make sure everyone can appreciate it. He's always taken aback. It doesn't mean he has to go and waggle a finger in someone's face and say, and bluster, you know, his mustache puffing out. Well, what do you mean you've never heard of my work? How dare you, sir? How dare you? He can be very jolly and joyful about it, right? You know, if he's taken aback, it could just be good-hearted, you know, it could be good-hearted bluster. So he'll go, you haven't heard of me? Well, I guess I'm the one who has to crawl out from a rock in order to spread my craft. And go from there. Because, look, he's also full of witty aphorisms and has a proverb. So that could very well also be helping to spread light and knowledge, you know, the lamp of knowledge, the light of friendship and cautionary tales, the light at the end of the tunnel. Derek, thank you. I will be taking a vacation towards the end of June, though. You're lurking, you're putting the ship together? Oh, that's great, Rowmonger. Who are you shipping? Now, turn the faithless. You can use your channel divinity to utter ancient words that are painful for fae and fiends to hear. As an action, you present your holy symbol, and each fae or fiend within 30 feet of you or that can hear you must make a wisdom saving throw. We're going to get also an aura of warding. Ancient magic lies so heavily upon you that it forms an eldritch ward. You and friendly creatures within 10 feet of you have resistance to damage from spells. Wow. As well, we get Undying Sentinel. Starting at 15th level, when you're reduced to 0 hit points and are not killed outright, you can choose to drop to 1 hit point instead. Oh, so yeah, it gives you a focus sash as a Pokemon item. Once you use this ability, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. Bubonic one says, painting road signs in the deep could be a way to spread the light. Yeah, right? And especially, we're talking about a literal light at the end of the tunnel. Hey, King. You're playing Fear right now? Derek asks, which pair and in how many places? Hey, King. Hello. Hopefully I'm not, Fear is a Rattata. Oh, that's right, yeah. Yeah, because that was supposed to be off of the, rodents of unusual size or something like that, right? I know the one you're talking about, though, King. You think it's garbage channel divinity? I don't know. Driving off fae and demons and devils is pretty good. And if you want to prevent someone from getting away, you can summon those vines. Alright, so we have our things, with the exception of our spells here. Oops, I don't have 5th level yet. I was getting a little too ahead of myself. In fact, I have 4333 or 4332. There we go. We get Bane. Oh, whoops, that's Vengeance. We get Ensnaring Strike. And Speak with Animals. We get Moonbeam and Misty Step. We get Plant Growth and Protection from Energy. And we also get Ice Storm and Stone Skin. Yeah, King, I'm fighting off a cold or something. I've been doing a lot more stuff outside as well. So just kind of physically, but then also like I just have a bunch of drainage and whatever, so my voice is sounding off and whew. I've in the words of Bill Engvall, here's my sign. I've earned a couple signs so far tonight for some of my comments. But thank you. I will happily accept donations of energy. Not for a spirit bomb, but just to try and get through. It could be a lot worse. You know, I'm happy I don't have strep throat or like a really bad flu or something, where I'm just sort of like huddled up and shaking and wishing for the world to stop spinning. Okay, so we're casting off of Charisma. Charisma modifier plus half your Paladin level. So we'll get our... we have to generate our stats. It looks like Bubonic One offered up something here. Lay on hands. So if you all want to discuss, is Bubonic's proposal seemingly... Does it seem like that's what this character would have? Go from there. He's always using it to punch people. So Bubonic One is proposing 14 strength, 8 dex, 12 con, 10 int, 15 wisdom, and 13 charisma. Waffles with or waffles without peanut butter, which is better? Dan's game is giving, or Dan's game, Rogue Infinity is giving you quite the face there with Dan's game and without. I don't know, waffles and peanut butter doesn't sound too bad to me. Bubonic is saying switch wisdom and charisma if you want. And Robert was saying Moonbeam with a permanent spell over a sign in places like Dark Woods. Wouldn't that be something, right? You know, any shapeshifters or other things that pass by. I don't think there's a... some spells do allow a form of permanence, But I don't think permanence exists in 5th edition, as far as I know. If one of you out there knows otherwise, though, you can correct me. But that would be very interesting, though, wouldn't it, Robert? Like, if you could make a shield with Moonbeam, like, cast into it, and you can use it as a magic item like that to, you know, shoot a Moonbeam out. Yeah. Alright, so Constitution goes to 14. Strength goes to 16. We get to play around with 4 ASIs. Where would you like to put the 8 points in this character? Now, Robert, something that's interesting about this edition, there is a natural cap of 20. A character cannot physically or mentally surpass 20 in an ability score that's appropriate to physical or mental. You can do so by magic items, but not naturally. That's a way to kind of keep the power creep or the curve flatter. So that means if we dumped 4 points into strength, we still have 4 points left over because we can't take strength any higher naturally. All right, I'll take a look at that, King. Delcorin, I just got home and toasted some Eggo waffles before realizing I ran out of peanut butter. I like mine with PB and syrup. Well, I guess you might have to use just normal butter then. Wisdom isn't very useful for Paladin in 5e, but stats aren't always about useful. That is a very good point, Fluffy Sheep. You know, in fact, if we wanted, we could even go through and reverse it and put his wisdom higher again. King says +8 to Dex to take up the bow. You know, I like that idea, honestly, of a paladin rolling around with a decent dex, and you know, maybe you go half plate so you get that maximum. You get that maximum AC plus the 2 you could get from your dex, but then kind of have a ranged person, and if someone wants to close the gap, you put the bow away, draw your sword, and you're like, let's do this. Bubonic's thinking 3 charisma, 1 wisdom, 2 con on your choice on last 2. Do somersaults, and his ultimate technique will just be spinning, going, yeah, yeah. Intimidation and religion for his 2 skill choices. Oh, that's right. Okay, so the first one rounds up, pardon me, charisma to 16, wisdom to 14. Another one brings his con up to 16. So there's 2. And then Bubonic was thinking that we spend 1 on bringing strength up and the other 1 on bringing charisma up. Jesus coming to get you, boy. Palor ain't afraid to bring the pain. That is correct. And oddly suspicious, wouldn't you say, King? There we go. There are our stat bumps. Now that we have this, we can fill in a whole lot of other bubbles. 4, -1, 3, 0, 2, and 4. You want to work with a DM to make a character use 2 great shields. Two great shield fighting would be interesting. 4/4. We're just going to copy and paste this -1 over here. 3s. 0s down the board, except religion, which is 5. That's pretty decent. 7 whiz and insight with a 2, 2, 2, and 2. And then a 9. 9 and 9, and a 4 and a 4 for the other skills here. Dex-based Paladin is low-key pretty good. You get much of your damage from Divine Smite anyway. Palor equals blah blah god. Lathander equals better sun god. Uh-oh, King. There's a competition a brewing. Initiative. Well, we're at a -1 because it is a dex. It's a dex check. Armor class, we get 16 from chainmail. It does not allow dex, and then another 2 from our shield. So if we have our shield equipped, it's 18. If it helps remind you, you could just go like 16/18 or something along those lines. Hit points. We're a D10 hit die class. All hail the better sun god Lathander, and Dorgrim is not impressed and says blech. So there's our first level hit points. Now we have 15 other levels at which we get half +1 our hit points, our hit die. Half of 10 is 5, +1 is 6. Also, for every level, therefore the multiplier here is going to be 16, because we're level 16. For every level, you get your con bonus in hit points. So we get 48 bonus hit points. Look at that. Isn't that something? Now from here, we get 90 hit points from our class. So this is 100 plus 48 is 148. There we go. To hit with strength-based weapons, you get your strength modifier, and if you're proficient, which we are, you get your proficiency bonus. +9. Javelins, you can use strength because they are a thrown weapon. You know, traditionally in other systems, you have to roll dex to hit with a ranged weapon. In this case, it has the thrown quality, so we can use strength to hit at range. 1d6 plus your strength modifier in bonus damage, piercing. Warhammer is 1d8 plus 4 bludgeoning. Now there is an option. You can wield a Warhammer in one hand. If we do so, that'll make sense because we took the fighting style dueling. And that indicates that we get +2 static damage if we fight with one weapon in one hand, not two-handing. But if we want to two-hand the Warhammer, it has the versatile property, meaning we can roll the next die up because we're putting a little bit more oomph into our strike. Delcorn is saying Cord is the best god. Lathander even has a better holy symbol than Palor's. I walk away for 1 minute and this is the kind of blasphemy I come back to. If our paladin attacks with a spell, it's going to be similar to what we have above, right? Except instead of strength, I mean, he's kind of a muscly wizard, so he's not a muscle wizard. He's casting off of his charisma, and he's proficient with his spells, so you get to add your proficiency modifier. To resist his spells, you add 8. 8 to your attack, and that gives you your difficulty class to save against the spells. We have 0 cantrips as a paladin. So we come down here. This was plus 9. Whoop, plus 9. This is 17. Prepared spells equal your charisma modifier plus half your paladin level. So on top of the spells that our oath gives us, we can prepare an additional 12 spells, any 12 from the paladin list. Like clerics and druids, they intrinsically know all of their spells because they pray for them. They pray for specific aid in certain circumstances. So you could, if you want to load up, you can take 10 level 4 spells and then a level 1 and a level 3, and you say, nah, 2 is whatever, I don't care. You could balance it out. You could even just take 1 level 4 spell and go from there because you think that your oath has you covered. It's up to you. Have fun with it. You know, in his case, if you made kind of just an average, this is what I wake up and I expect to do on any given day. These are my generic spells that I pray for every morning. That reveals a lot about your character's personality as well. You know, just as for wizards, a spell book is a diary of the places you've gone and the things that you've seen. If you were to hand this character sheet over to a DM and it had your average daily spells on it, that would indicate to your DM or to whoever else is reading it, what do you wake up expecting on a given day? By the way, his passive perception is 12 because it's 10 plus your perception modifier. And that's your natural awareness of what is going on around you. So you don't have to roll all the time. Alright, you know, save for picking spells, we have a finished character. Fluffy says Paladin cantrips swinging their weapon. Well, yeah, I mean, especially, that's a good way of looking at it, Fluffy Sheep. Because with improved Divine Smite, you know, we could make the note here that, you just get that rider of plus 1d8. Let alone blowing a spell slot and striking in some way. Rogue says, I've yet to play a Pally. Oh. What do you consider to be your playstyle, Rogue? And also, Bubonic King does bring up a point. Dorgrim goes back to reading some Greyhawk books while he listens. Yeah, Dorgrim, if you're not familiar, by the way, with the theory that King linked to, I think that would be something that you could really get into. Or is that why you're going to go back and read those Greyhawk books? Well, a Valor Bard is a combatant who casts spells through his or her weapon. A Paladin could very well be the same. In that case, Rogue Infinity, You might enjoy something along the lines of the Vengeance Paladin. I'm a purist when it comes to CY576. Let me read this for you real quick before I get up and take a break. So, Rogue, if you were a Vengeance Paladin, and look, you don't have to be lawful good to be Paladins in 5th edition. In fact, this does even say they're often neutral or lawful neutral in alignment. These Paladins are also Avengers or Dark Knights. So you can play Batman, kind of, right? Fight the greater evil. Ordinary foes faced with the choice of fighting my sworn foes or combating a lesser evil, I choose the greater evil. No mercy for the wicked. Ordinary foes might win my mercy, but my sworn enemies do not. By any means necessary, my qualms can't get in the way of exterminating my foes. And restitution. If my foes wreak ruin on the world, it is because I failed to stop them. I must help those harmed by their misdeeds. You get Bane and Hunter's Mark, Hold Person and Misty Step, Haste, Protection from Energy, Banishment, Dimension Door, Hold Monster, and Scrying as this kind of a paladin. So maybe something like that might be a little bit more up your alley. You don't have to be the good guy, lawful good paladin in 5th edition. Raycon is back. I got a new laptop for my writing and ordered a hard drive deck to transfer my missing work. Oh, that's excellent, Raycon. Bubonic One, the night is all its evil. Lathander fights by bringing the safety of the day. Whereas, like I said, Palor's sun is the sun that all evil and undead fear, as it's the sun that doesn't hold back. Common year 576, the most common starting year for Greyhawk campaigns. Well, thank you for that bit of knowledge. I wasn't aware of that. All right, I got to get up and I got to get something to drink, replenish my voice, and I'll return. So, hang tight, everyone.